Yo, what's up? Widdis here, back with another one. Listen, last night I was in I suddenly fell in the mood to just watch um some anime. As I've grown older, I kind of get in the mood to watch anime as opposed to like when I was younger. I would constantly be in the mood of watching anime, constantly watching it. As I've grown older, I've kind of compartmentalized that aspect of mine, or that interest of mine, rather than it like completely enveloping me as a person. Not on purpose, not by design. It's just I don't know. But then it's kind of cool because it kind of allows for other interests of mine to, you know shine through a bit. It allows for me to participate in other stuff as well, not just anime consuming, which is cool, I guess. Also, it allows me to really appreciate the 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 thing that I'm watching, if I like I'm truly in the mood to see it. So I was in the mood last night. Just wanted to see like a throwback anime. By the way, it's kind of crazy that if I were to call this particular anime a like a classic, fewer people are gonna recognize that, because I feel like the classics now are like more modern. So I feel like this is kind of being the show that I wanted to push is being the show that I wanted to watch is being pushed in the more retro side of things, or you know or whatever, which is crazy to think about. I always thought that these particular shows that were surrounding me were always going to be the talk of the town, or regarded as like regarded, period. But yeah, obviously they're regarded by like their fan bases and whatnot. But it never occurred to me that the masses wouldn't like regard these shows. So yeah, I wanted to watch the show. I couldn't watch it. I tried to watch an episode on my phone, but then that fell through. And then I ended up saying, I can't watch anime on my phone anymore, because you'll remember I sold my PC. I sacrificed my PC to fund my stuff. And then just thinking about how I thought to myself that I could never watch anime on my phone again. That like that woke my younger self to be like, yo, dude, what the hell are you doing? Because my younger self was not bothered. My younger self loved to watch anime on his phone because he had nothing else. I only got like a PC when I was like 2 years away from graduating high school. That was my first ever PC. So before then, it was like anime on the TV, anime on a hard drive onto, and then HDMI it onto a TV, anime on the phone, whatever. Just any means possible. You know. So my younger self was a beast, bro. I guess that's why I wanted to make this video. Like I'm a shadow of my former self. I'm a shell of a man now, you know? Cuz my younger self never had a problem. Never had a problem. So I guess I have to be a bit more grateful. It's really moments like this that make you realize just how much we take stuff for granted sometimes, or just how comfortable we get in each, you know, advancement, in our lives, or whatever. In my case, getting a PC or whatever. Yeah. Shout out to my younger self, man. I he listen. He had the blueprint. I'll be honest, because a lot of people like to think that they get better with time. I'll be honest and say that my younger self retains a lot of the values and beliefs and you know creeds that I ought to retain, that I ought to maintain. He was spot on in a lot of areas. A lot of areas. Let me give you an example. Like when I was younger, um, I knew that I didn't want to take center stage in terms of anything. I wanted to make like little cartoons. Well, I guess I do still. But yeah, I didn't even want I didn't even want my face to show up. You know what I mean? On the what you call it, on the screen. I didn't want people to know what I look like. You know, because I thought that, and I've spoken about this before, because I thought that kind of took away from the immersion of the story. Yeah, because I wanted people to feel as though this story came from nothing and not from a human being. You know, because I thought that kind of took them out of it. But then as I grew old, I kind of wanted to show face a bit more in terms of like the animations. Though, you know, granted, it is kind of necessary to show a bit of face just so that people grow a bit more accustomed to whatever product it is you're trying to push, you know, because that's how we are. We want to see a person, we want to hear a person, we want to perceive the person before we can truly accept something a lot of the times, something that they're producing a lot of the times, you know. So yeah, that was the case. That was the case for a long time. And then yeah, I try to as I grew older, I try to like show face, you know, even with like the music stuff. When I grew a bit older, I started thinking about how I wanted to be in, you know, like a band or something. Well, I've always wanted to be in a band, but then as I grew older, I kind of wanted the I'll be honest, like the praise and the adoration that comes with being a band. Whereas as a kid, I wanted that aspect. I wanted that thing for myself, for the pure purpose of just making the music. You know, I've spoken about this before. Then I'm not sure like which video it is, but I spoke about how like I didn't even want to look at Linkin Park in them because they were the first guys who really got me into like rock music back when I was, you know, a little boy, man, like seven, around the age of seven, younger possibly, you know, younger definitely because I remember like around like the age of 3, that's when I was exposed to like AMVs and stuff, and like anime programming on the TV. I'm not gonna use the word watch because you can't watch something as a 3-year old. You're too young, but you are exposed to it. It's on the screen. It's on whatever. You know, I've spoken about this before too. You know, so yeah, my younger self was on point with a lot of stuff, and I guess I kind of say this to encourage everyone to not turn their backs on their younger selves, honestly, because many a time artists kind of like slag off their previous versions. They say stuff like in the case of Linkin Park, they kind of, or like just any artist really. A lot of artists like doing this, like changing up their style and then kind of really kind of like spitting in the face of the version of themselves that got them to that position, got them to the position to spit on the younger version of themselves face. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of disrespectful. Like how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do that? You know, you ought to thank that version of yourself because they're the ones that got us interested in you. You know, I get it though. I tend to do that as well. Like I tend to look at whatever like earlier productions of mine, be it like songs or not even full songs, like fully fleshed out songs, just like little piece like little beats that I'd cook up or whatever. I'd look at that. I'd look at that, or I'd look at just the way that I thought. If like maybe I typed something in the past, I'd kind of yeah, belittle myself a little bit. But we need to be more thankful and grateful for our past selves, honestly. And that's all I wanted to say. Peace be to you all. Yeah.